we wake, hear the birds and see the sun.
So we are in labor, officially admitted into the hospital. So things are so surreal right now. So just really excited. They're going to administer Pitocin, and that's going to maybe help things move a little faster. But right now my water's broken, and we are officially admitted into the hospital. Hey, guess what?
Did your water break?
I'm in the hospital. They admitted me. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Good. Are you kidding?
No, I'm sitting in the hospital.
Hey Mama, what's up?
Just sitting here watching TV. What are you doing?
Not much. We're sitting here in the hospital. They admitted us.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. Look at you go, Mama.
Hey.
You did it.
Oh my goodness. You did a good job.
Before you even deliver.
We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. You and I, we got it. We don't need no more. Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm.
Hey friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Kaylee. I'm a certified nutritionist and a new mom. So it has been a while, you guys. Honestly, adjusting into motherhood has been quite the transition. That being said, I love it. It's amazing. I love my beautiful, healthy baby boy. But I will say it's been hard to learn to balance my business life with my mom life. But we're here. We're getting there. You know, if you follow me on Instagram, you have watched me struggle with getting my child to take a nap. So that's why it's taken me so long to get around to filming this video. So thank you for your patience. But I'm back. So I'm ready to start this postpartum vlog series. I did a poll on Instagram and I got a 100% positive response saying that you guys wanted to see this. So I'm here and I'm ready to do this thing. Last thing I posted on my YouTube channel that was anything baby related was my hospital bag video back in August. So it has been a while, but I was really pleasantly surprised at how well that video was received. I honestly was worried since it was a little outside of my niche. Since I'm a nutritionist, I traditionally do, recipe videos, nutrition-based stuff like that. And then I did share on my Instagram, about my pregnancy journey. But I was shocked that the hospital bag video performed so well. It's got over 21,000 views. I'm floored. So thank you guys so much for watching. So between the positive response with the hospital bag video and then the 100% positive response on Instagram for the postpartum vlog series, I was like, okay, we're doing this. I figured what better way to start this postpartum journey vlog series than to share my birth story. I will say I am 3 months postpartum, so yes, it has been a little bit of time, but I will do another recap video of the last 3 months, kind of filling you guys in on what it was like to be a new mom, things that I wish I had known as a new mom, that kind of stuff. It would have probably saved me a lot of tears and struggling. So maybe some of the things that I learned the hard way I can share with you and you won't have to go through all that. I do want to preface my birth story with a little warning. It was a very rough journey getting Bennett here. We did have some complications, and so if you are currently pregnant or about to deliver your baby or just feeling any sort of anxiety about your pregnancy, I would suggest maybe saving this video for later and watching it after you have your baby, because I don't want to scare anybody. Before we get started, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss out on a video. So enough rambling, let's get into it. Honestly, I was really trying to figure out where I wanted to even start my birth story, so I figured I would just go ahead and kind of start the day that I went into labor. The last time you guys saw me super duper pregnant on here was my hospital bag video, and I was about 25 days away from my due date. And so the entire time I was pregnant, I was told that my due date was September 20th. Then I got my paperwork after Bennett was born, and my due date was actually September 21st. Not that that makes a huge difference, but they were off by about one day. As I stated in my hospital bag video, I was told my entire pregnancy that one, my baby was going to be big. They guessed that Bennett was going to be about 8 to 9 pounds, just based on the way that my belly was measuring. Granted, I am 5 feet tall and my torso is about this big, so the only way he could grow was out. And then also they said I was measuring 2 weeks farther along than what I was, meaning I was 36 weeks pregnant, but I was measuring 38 weeks. So I had this impression that I was going to deliver early, and that was not the case. I went in at 39 weeks to see if I was dilated, just a regular checkup. You know, when you get close to having your baby, they have you come in every week. And so I was 39 weeks pregnant, and I was 1 centimeter dilated and 80% effaced. And the 1 centimeter dilated honestly really discouraged me. I was really upset. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I should have already had this baby by now. And so they put me on the induction list. If I went past 40 weeks, they were going to induce me. You know, my visit came and went. They stripped my membrane and nothing happened, and I was just really frustrated. I honestly went home and cried. You know, pregnancy hormones, I was ready for Bennett to get here, and I was just so tired of being pregnant. You get to 35 weeks in your pregnancy and you're just over it. You're huge, you're sweaty all the time, you have to pee constantly. I remember I couldn't sleep past 4 a.m. I would literally wake up every day 4 a.m. to my little baby wiggle worming in my belly, and I just constantly was uncomfortable. And then I would get on social media, and friends or other women that I followed on social media would go into labor early and have their baby. And so I was having like baby envy at that point. And so I remember it was a Sunday. Brad and I got up. I was just in this mood. It was actually September 20th. So I was like, I should have had him already. I have this feeling like he needs to get here today. I'm so upset. So we watched church online, and in the middle of the service, Brad looked at me and he said, "Are you okay? And if you're anything like me, you hold your emotions in until someone asks you that you're okay, and then you just release it all." And so I remember just bursting into tears on our couch and just crying, you know, saying, I just want to have this baby now. It's not fair. I'm ready. I'm uncomfortable. You know, he needs to get here, all this stuff. So after we watched church, Brad and I went on a 2-mile walk, and, you know, everything was fine. I had been walking like 4 miles every day to try to get him to drop out of me. Like, I was just ready, and nothing was seeming to make a difference. I had eaten the spicy food, eaten seafood, all of the old wives' tales I tried. I did not do castor oil because I heard from my doctor it will just make you poop your pants. So don't recommend that. But I tried literally everything, and this baby will not come. So the saying that they will come when they are ready is so true, because he stayed in there until he was ready to come out. So we went on our walk, and then we got home, and he said, let's go get brunch. So we went and got brunch. We're sitting there waiting an hour for our table to become available, because everybody had the same idea that Sunday to go to brunch at First Watch. And all of a sudden I started getting some cramping, and I've had cramping before. I had Braxton Hicks contractions from the time I was 30 weeks pregnant on and off until I delivered. So I was like, you know, whatever, it doesn't even matter, because there have been times where I wake up and like 2 a.m. because I'm having contractions, and I would time them and then they would go away. So I wasn't going to get my hopes up. And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden I was like, I need to like start timing these. So in my notes section on my phone, I just would say like when my contraction would start, and then when it would stop, and then when it would start again. So they were about 30 minutes apart at this point, and I just wasn't thinking anything of it. And then we had to run to the grocery store real quick because we had no groceries. So we ran to Publix, and I was just so busy grocery shopping that I forgot to time anything. So we went home, and then I noticed like they continued, and they were about 15 minutes apart at this point. And they lasted about 15 minutes apart for, I would say, like 2 hours. So Brad and I were like, let's go on another walk. We went on a walk. Everything was normal. Made it, you know, a mile and a half out, so we were turning around, and all of a sudden, you know, Brad told a joke and I laughed and I thought I peed myself, and I was like, oh, I need to go home. I have this urge to pee. So I like waddled as fast as I could back home, and I peed and didn't think anything of it. Well, the contractions kept getting longer and stronger and closer together. So about 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., they were a minute long and they were 5 minutes apart. So I was so excited. You know, I went and double checked our bags, even though they'd been packed for literally a month and a half before we even had to go to the hospital, and I called the doctor. And so I talked to the nurse at the nurse station, explained what was going on. Unfortunately, she told me that they want my contractions to be a minute, 1 to 2 minutes apart for an hour before coming in. And so I was just, I was mad. I wanted to go. Before I got off the phone, she said, wait. Have you had any weird liquid at all? And I said, I peed my pants earlier today about 2 o'clock. Why? And she goes, how many weeks are you? I was like, today's my due date. And she's like, you need to come in. I think your water broke. So I'm so excited. We get all the bags in the car just in case we have to stay. And we get to the hospital. They test me and my water actually had broken. It didn't fully break. My amniotic sac just had a little leak in it. And so they were like, okay, you're in labor. We're going to admit you. So about 9 o'clock, I was admitted to the hospital and we were so excited. And they told me they were going to start me on Pitocin to speed up my contractions because I was only 1 centimeter dilated and 100% effaced. And so I do want to encourage all my new moms. I did not know this and I still don't know everything, but if you're 1 centimeter dilated, don't let that get you discouraged, because I know it got me discouraged, because you will dilate so fast when you get into active labor. It's amazing. So I was 100% effaced and we were ready to rock. They put me on Pitocin, and let me just tell y'all, that stuff freaking is the worst, just because it makes your contractions so strong. And I've always prided myself on being a tough individual, so I have a pretty high pain tolerance. And let me tell you, I thought I was going to throw up. My contractions were so painful. And, you know, this is my birth story, and I chose to have an epidural eventually. I, did a lot of research on whether or not I wanted to have one, and I am very glad that I did. Every woman has the decision to choose what they would like to do. So I definitely am not trying to turn anyone on to it or turn anyone away from it, but that is what I choose to do, and I am very, very thankful that I did. It made a huge difference in how my labor went, because I was in labor for 27 hours. So just saying. But I had the Pitocin. That evening, my staff was phenomenal, and I had a great nurse staff that night. So they kept me updated as to like what was going on. They checked me very often, but they said that since my water broke at 2, they only wanted me to be in labor until 2 p.m. the next day, just because you don't want to be open down there for too long, because you have risk of infection. And then if you get an infection, the baby will get an infection, and it can be this whole, dangerous situation. So they wanted to try to get me to have that baby by noon the next day. So I actually was on Pitocin for quite a while, to the point where I was like dying and I needed to have something to take the edge off. I've never been high a day in my life, so they gave me Demerol, and let me tell you, that stuff made for an interesting evening. My husband was fully entertained by my crazy, just high self. It was ridiculous. So we were actually watching Friends on the TV, and I was having a full-blown conversation with Ross about how he was not on a break. So it was interesting. So I had the Demerol for a few hours, and then when that wore off, I was 6 centimeters dilated by, I would say, like maybe midnight, and then they took me off the Pitocin, gave me the epidural, and I ended up dilating the rest of the way. I was fully dilated by 8 a.m. I was 6 centimeters at midnight. So I dilated on my own without the Pitocin. It was great. And they did not tell me in the beginning that the reason they took me off the Pitocin is it was messing with Bennett's heart rate. I was not aware of that until later. My morning staff actually made me aware of that. And that has nothing to do with, the quality of staff that I had in the evening. My night nurse was amazing. She actually came in the next day when I had Bennett and saw us. So I just think that she didn't want to worry me, and that's why I was not told, because it was nothing to be concerned about in the beginning. So all that to say, 8 a.m. rolls around, fully dilated, but he is still pretty far up in the birth canal. And they were like, we need to probably put you back on Pitocin to see if we can move him down so you can push, because we don't want you to go past 2 p.m. I will say that the epidural made a night and day difference. When they put me back on Pitocin, it wasn't as awful as it was before. I could still feel it. It just kind of feels like your core is like wrapping around itself, like you're doing an ab exercise. So in case you already didn't know, which I knew this beforehand, so I'm sure if you're taking Lamaze classes and preparing for your birth, you're aware, but when you get an epidural, you cannot get out of bed. So just be sure you're ready to no longer move whenever you get one. So I pretty much sat in that bed for what seemed like forever. We were in the hospital for 4 days total. But with an epidural, you pretty much can't feel anything from the waist down, and it's great. I mean, it makes labor so much different and so much more tolerable and enjoyable. The whole process is pretty amazing. So even if you choose not to have one, I mean, it's an awesome experience. I mean, it's the coolest thing to watch your body do something so amazing, like bringing life into this world. Anyways, 8 a.m. rolled around, Bennett was up in my birth canal. He was needing to move down because I was running out of time. Because eventually, if you are open too long, you have to have a C-section. And that is something I was trying to avoid just because I know C-sections take longer to heal. And I'm one of those people that I just want to get back to it once I've had this baby. So that was something I was trying to avoid. They put me back on the Pitocin, and not but maybe 30 to 45 minutes later, we were watching Bennett's heart on the monitor, and it slowed very low. It was, I believe they want your baby's heart rate to be between like 140 and 170, and it dropped to like 50. And so all of a sudden, before I could even push my call button, my entire nursing staff, doctors, everybody was in there, and they were going to try to see if they could get his heart rate up because it was dangerously low, and they were worried his heart was going to stop, and that's also extremely dangerous. Before I knew it, I had 2 nurses flip me over on all fours, and they were trying to get his heart rate back up, and I had the doctor gloving up because they were telling me I was going to have an emergency C-section, and in about 5 minutes his heart rate went back up. So that happened another time, and it was really scary. I'm not gonna lie, I've never seen my husband be scared before, but he was, you know, trying to hold it together for me, and I was trying to hold it together for him. But it was very emotional just because, you know, I had been in labor for a while. I was ready for him to get here, and then his heart was not doing well. So, you know, they took me off the Pitocin. We were like, we're not doing this anymore. And so they're like, okay, it's, you know, noon. We thought you would have your baby by now. We're gonna have you start to push. And so every time I would have a contraction, I would push, and he would move down a little bit in the birth canal, and then he would move back up, and then he would move down. So I did that for about an hour, and then they allowed me to take a break, and then they kind of moved me in different positions to see if he would drop naturally. And unfortunately, he didn't do a whole lot of dropping. He was real comfortable in there. And so I would think it was 3 o'clock, and they're like, okay, we need you to push. So for 2 hours, from 3 to 5, I pushed, and I was just so tired. And when I was pushing, they noticed that, you know, babies either need to be delivered face up or face down, but he was sideways because my son likes to be different than everyone else. So they were really concerned. So actually, I would push, and the doctor would move him manually to be face up or face down, whatever he could get, and Bennett would move right back sideways. So it was a long 2 hours. It was very tiring. My epidural began to wear off, so I could start to feel stuff, and it was just getting miserable. And I remember there was a point I started to cry, and I said, I'm going to push for 30 more minutes, and if he is not out, you either need to get forceps, the vacuum, or we're doing a C-section because I cannot do this anymore. So they actually let me go past 2 p.m. because I had, you know, said before I wanted to try to do this vaginally, and everything was looking okay down there. So eventually the doctor's like, okay, so I'm pushing, and my doctor goes, okay, stop pushing. He is coming, like you are going to have this baby. And I said, I'm not going to stop pushing, so you need to get ready. So I pushed. Next thing I know, his head is out and he's still sideways. And before I knew it, I had 2 full-grown female nurses on top of me pushing on my abdomen because his shoulders got stuck in my pelvic bone. And so this can either break my pelvis, break his shoulders, or his clavicle. It's very dangerous for both of us, and it can cause me to have a lot of tearing. But honestly, I just wanted him to be out. So for about a minute, and thank goodness it only took a minute, because usually shoulder dystocia deliveries, that's the kind of delivery I had, last for about, you can last 5 minutes or longer. Mine was just a minute. It was a miracle. So before I knew it, 2 nurses were on me. They were pushing as hard as they could on my core, and they pulled him out, and he wasn't breathing or crying or anything. So we were really concerned. They, you know, cleared him out, got him crying, and put him on me, and it was the best feeling. I remember just like this wave of emotion. I'm trying not to get emotional about it now. Just them putting him on me was the greatest thing ever, and all the work that we had to do to get him here was so, I mean, it was just scary because there was a lot of things going on that we weren't sure if he was going to be okay. So he was completely fine. He had just a little fluid in his shoulder, but no fractures, no breaking in him. I only had first-degree tearing, which was amazing. So I was actually able, once my epidural wore off, to walk around the hospital. It was great. But if you saw in the beginning of the video, you saw his umbilical cord and it was tied in a knot, and they were not aware of that. So they actually had like 25 students, nursing students, and even some of the staff that have been in nursing for years come and look at this, because it's very rare for a baby to, one, survive with the umbilical cord tied into a knot, and two, for them to be delivered vaginally. If they had known his umbilical cord was in a knot, they would have had me have a C-section, just because the pushing process would tighten that. Thank goodness it wasn't tightened, because he was still able to get nourishment, oxygen, and all of his needs, but that could have been very scary as well. So he is a miracle. I'm just so thankful to God that he is 100% healthy. He is such a sweet and happy baby, and oh my goodness, I'm blessed to be his mama. So going back to like right after Bennett was born, they put him on me immediately. You know, they were cleaning him off and they put him on me. And so I had all of him on top of me. It was awesome because I wanted to do skin to skin contact as soon as he was born. They allow the umbilical cord to still stay intact, you know, for a few minutes after he is born. Then once they cut that, Brad actually cut the cord, I was able to nurse him. So it was really great. They did take him away eventually just to evaluate him, you know, clean him off, all of that stuff. And then they sewed me up and everything, but we were both healthy and both completely fine. So it was, you know, a scary experience, but also one of the best experiences in my entire life, and I would do it all over again. It's amazing how you forget, like, immediately after you go through all of that pain and all that pushing and just stuff that is just tough, and you're like, I could totally do this again. Holding your baby for the first time is literally the best feeling in the entire world. Your wedding day is amazing. That is like probably your #1 moment in your life up until that point. And then when you bring your first child into the world, it is just, I mean, it trumps that. I mean, it's just this amazing high. You feel so powerful. You just did this incredible thing to bring your precious baby's life into the world. So it was awesome. So after we were both checked out and we were okay, you know, due to COVID, we could not have, you know, family at the hospital. I was thankful and very blessed to be able to have my husband there with me. So he was my labor and delivery partner. We did not have to wear masks just because the entire staff was in masks. So with my experience, we did not have to wear masks, but we could not have family come. So we actually saw different people who were delivering at the same time as I was. They had family members like sitting on the lawn with like signs outside the window cheering them on. Unfortunately, my family is not in the state of North Carolina. Both sides of the family are in Georgia. So they drove up and like waited at the house for us to leave the hospital. But we were in the hospital 2 days after Bennett was born. So we were there for a total of 4 days, just because they want to watch the baby and you, just to, you know, help equip you and prepare you to leave the hospital with your baby, as well as just making sure everything is okay with your child. I think they said it's protocol for new moms and first-time moms to stay for 48 hours after delivering. And plus, he was a shoulder dystocia delivery, and they wanted to continue to look after his collarbone because they thought there was a fracture, but it was just some fluid that went away in about 48 hours. So we were there. I slammed down a foot-long Publix sub. It was awesome. I actually ate 2 subs while we were in the hospital because I'm kind of picky about hospital food, and the stuff that they brought me just wasn't super delicious looking. So Brad actually went and had Jimmy John's delivered, and so I ate an entire 16-inch sub in one sitting. I don't even want to hear the judgment from that. I was so hungry. I hadn't eaten in 27 hours, so I ate like a champ. But we were just so happy to have Bennett and for him to be here safe and there to be no issues with his health at all, that we just enjoyed time together. They moved us from the labor and delivery suite to a mother and baby suite, and there was actually 2 beds there. So I had my own hospital bed and they actually had one for Brad, but we ended up all like piling in one bed together, and Brad and I fell asleep in the same bed. Bennett was in the bassinet next to us, but it was just a really sweet moment. But we're home. He is healthy. I'm healthy. Things are going well. Like I said, we had some issues with naps, but that's to be expected with a new baby. But from the beginning, I mean, Bennett has been a great baby, and I'm so thankful. So I just words can't even describe how it feels to be a mom. It's incredible. There are definitely days where it can be frustrating, and I feel like a lot of times moms don't talk about that, but it's overall just the biggest blessing and the best job in the entire world. So that pretty much concludes our story of how my sweet little bee got here. You can always follow me on Instagram at MeasureMeWhole for more frequent life updates and more frequent posting. I am going to make a habit to start posting regularly on YouTube Mondays and Fridays. So Mondays are going to be the start of my new vlog series on how I'm going to get my body back into shape. So I actually have another video that I'm planning on posting. It's a meal prep video, kind of giving you guys a good inside look onto what I'm doing in order to get my body back in shape because I'm ready. As soon as I had been it, I waited for my epidural to wear off and I went ahead and did laps around the hospital because I was like, I am not going to just sit here. And that's the best piece of advice I can give new moms. If you are able to get up and move, get up and move. It makes your healing process so much better. I was able to walk and do things like normal, as close to normal as possible after Bennett was born. I truly believe it was because I was active during my pregnancy and I chose to get up as soon as my epidural wore off and move around. I am planning on doing a updated version of my hospital bag video, kind of getting you guys an idea of what I did and didn't use. I will be honest, I used almost everything that I packed in my bag. I was very thankful to have the things that I packed, and Brad used everything that I packed for him. It was so funny. He wasn't even planning on packing a bag for himself. My husband is very hard-headed, and if you are married to a Marine, you understand that they feel like they are the toughest of the tough, and they are, but he was very glad that he had a pillow and a blanket that I packed for him. So just saying, pack for your husband. They will appreciate it. But I will be updating the hospital bag video, telling you guys exactly what I used, when I used it, and what I did not use. So stay tuned for that. That is coming. I already have that in the works. But I'm super excited about this vlog series I'm going to be starting about becoming a new mom, trying to be, you know, a small business owner, new mom, and get my body back in shape all in one. So I'm really excited to share that journey with you guys. If you are new to the Measure Me Whole community, be sure to leave a comment below. I would love to say hi and get to know you. If you enjoyed this video, as always, give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I look forward to our next video where I teach you guys how to meal prep and show you exactly what I'm doing in order to get this in shape. All right, you guys, I'll see you next time.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side, our fears are done. All the good times just begun.